And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Snakes, lions, whatever fuck, not lions.
Yeah, you also got tornadoes and hurricanes. So there's that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, dude, let's get to the main portion of the show. Pop this up for you here. Sean Puffy Combs arrested in Manhattan after grand jury indictment. The music mogul has been under mounting scrutiny since 2023 lawsuit by his former girlfriend, Casey, accused him of sex trafficking for years of abuse. Mr. Combs, representatives called him an innocent man. Sean Combs, the music mogul whose career has been upended by sexual assault lawsuits and federal investigations, was arrested at his Manhattan hotel on Monday evening after the grand jury indicted him. The indictment is sealed, and the charges were not announced by Mark Agafilo, a lawyer of Mr. Combs, said he believed that he was being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. The statement from Mr. Combs' legal team said they were disappointed with the decision to prosecute him and noted that he had been cooperative with the investigators and had voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist. What is that?
Philanthropist.
There you go. Who has got the English language down, buddy. Who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the Black community. The statement said he is an imperfect person, but he's not a criminal. Jimmy.
Yeah. You know how I feel about this. I don't know the first thing about Puff Diddy Combs. He is not a musical icon to me. I don't care what he's done musically. I don't like this part of the statement. And yep, I'm always the one to point this shit out because it makes everybody uncomfortable. What is this? Adoring his children and working to uplift the Black community. What is that? What about just uplifting the human race? How about that? You know, so I don't understand that part. Voluntarily relocated to New York last week, so he's been cooperative. That doesn't change the fact that they're going to charge him with anything. But the real problem here I have, Mike, before I really weigh in truly, is I really don't know what the hell a trafficker legally is supposed to be. Because when I think of trafficking, I think of what they do to those poor, you know, women and sometimes children and sometimes young boys too, or whatever they do. They'll take them and they'll round them up. They're usually from very poor areas, and they'll put them on trains or in the back of trucks or whatever, and they'll ship them off to somewhere to sell their bodies for sex for profit. So I get confused when I hear of the Vince thing, and maybe we'll be getting to that.
Okay, so before we even get into it, let's go through the definition of sex trafficking.
Please.
And then we'll go back to Puffy Combs, and then we'll go in, obviously, it's a wrestling show. We'll go into the Vince McMahon because Janelle Grant's lawyers and people representing him had a press conference today. But sex trafficking is a form of human trafficking in which individuals are coerced, forced, and deceived into engaging commercial sex acts against their will. It's involving exploitation, someone for sexual purposes through manipulation, fraud, threats, violence, and abduction. Exploitation can take place in various settings such as brothels, escort services, massage parlors, and street prostitution. Victims may be adults or children, and traffickers often use physical, emotional, or psychological abuse to control their victims. In many legal systems, sex trafficking is recognized as a severe crime and a human rights violation. Well, I wouldn't understand why that would not be the case. But let's go back to Puff Daddy. Now, I understand, right? Sean Combs, right? You said you don't know much about him, so
no,
but he is a musical icon. He's a multimillionaire. You know, he's represented Tupac Shakur at some point, obviously Biggie Smalls himself. He's been in movies, whatever the
Yeah.
case is. All right, so
Right.
that's all well and good.
Yeah, he's a
So
star. Mhm.
most recently, there's a video out there of him beating his girlfriend
Really?
at a hotel. Looked like she was escaping or whatever else. And this is the one that really brought the light on to what's happening with Sean Puffy Combs.
Can I ask, was this the one in the elevator?
That is
This
the
video?
one, Jimmy. You are
You know what?
exactly
So,
correct.
okay, small kudos to me. I actually have seen that. Okay, fine. Gotcha.
So Sean Combs has been indicted for sex
Right.
trafficking.
Okay.
We understand what sex trafficking is. Before we get into Vince McMahon and what I've read about Sean Combs and what we went into the definition of sex trafficking,
Yeah.
explain to me after I read that to you.
Yeah.
I know it was quick, so you probably didn't absorb it all. Neither did I.
Right.
But we kind of get the idea. I think everybody
Right.
kind of gets the idea. So now
Right.
I ask you this. Do you still or do you believe or understand in sex trafficking? Or do you think it's another made
Well,
up
here
way of someone being able to get out of their situation because they've been manipulated?
could be the latter. The one thing I did pick up on was you said there were four kind of like parameters. What could you read those again?
I can.
Brothels.
Yep.
Brothels, I heard they were one of them was brothels, street on the street.
Brothels, escort services, massage parlors, and street
Right.
prostitution.
All right. And now look, as far as those four, I don't know if Diddy is guilty of any of that stuff. I have no idea.
Well, okay,
Brothels.
let's go. Let me go a different route with you
I'm
on
even
this.
thinking about Vince. I'm like brothels, massage
But
parlors.
let me go a different way about you.
No.
Do
Yeah.
you are intrigued with Charles Manson, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you believe that people have the power over other people to make them do what they don't want to do?
If the circumstances make the individual feel that they're boxed in and don't have an out, then they will succumb to outside forces influencing them in bad ways. You understand what I just said?
Say it again.
If an individual feels that there's no out for themselves and they feel completely cornered by circumstances that they can't get out of, they will collapse to someone. If that someone is someone like a Manson who knows knowingly that they are dealing with a weakened individual that they can bend and manipulate, then yeah, it happens. Of course it happens.
All right, so slow down.
Yeah.
We have plenty of time here to discuss this.
Uh-huh.
Situation, meaning what? You're broke, you have no food, and this person's willing to help you.
Let's use Manson as an example, okay? Manson was very, very intelligent. That's a fact. All right. He was also very, very crazy. That's also a fact. Both things that he would not deny. He would say, I'm smart, but I'm also fucking crazy dangerous. All right. Manson could recognize most of his family was built by prowling the streets, finding girls who were sitting in darkened alleys and on corners, eating a
In a
rotting
bad
apple.
situation, ran away from home,
It's
have
the
no money,
classic.
have
It's
no
almost.
food, whatever.
Yeah. And Charlie would find a way to reel them in. And the next thing they know, they're tying up people. You know what I'm saying? Was it their free will? Of course it was their free will. But when a person who's that weak and thinks that little of life and of themselves and is desperate, and someone who offers them even the slightest thing like fresh food in Charlie Manson's followers' case, or at least better food than what they were eating on the goddamn gutter sitting next to the rat, it happens. Now, I don't know about Diddy. I don't know if Diddy's
All right,
got,
well, slow down a
know,
second. I want to
yeah.
really discuss this. So I
Okay.
understand your point. Person's in a weakened state.
It's not a point. It's happened.
No, I
It's
got
not
it.
even a point. You
But
know what I mean? It's just
person's in
I'm
a person's in a weakened state. Here comes somebody. They hook them up. They kind of take
right.
advantage, and they start. We'll use the word grooming in a certain way.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: is that any different than a bank loaning you money because you need to pay your bills and they're charging you interest?
Oh, I am no fan of the loan shark, but there's different
But
extremes here.
my point is like,
It's
okay,
different. It's similar, but it's way different too.
Explain.
Look,
Explain.
well, what is there to explain? Okay, basically, when I'm talking about Charlie Manson, I'm talking about babies being cut out of stomachs.
I'm not
All
talking
right,
about Charlie
you know.
Manson, for example. Right now we're talking about P. Diddy. We're
Listen,
eventually going to go into Vince
Listen,
McMahon.
evil appears in all different forms, and I have always felt that credit card companies are fucking evil. Yes, they do prey on the desperate. Yes, they do fucking charge insane interest rates for those who need the money. It is similar, and I applaud you for pointing that out, but it's also very different. Evil comes in all sorts of different ways, and manipulation comes in all sorts of different ways from different walks of life and different people who represent the bad in this world. You don't have to be Charlie Manson to be Harvey Weinstein. You don't. You know?
I get it, but my point
Yeah.
is, at what point is the other human being? Look, we're talking about adults, right? I'm not talking about children. Children's a whole different
fine.
situation.
You know,
right?
there are some
Right?
children who lived more adult lives than some adults ever will.
I get it, but
you know?
still, there is a proven point where you're not mature enough to really understand stuff. But there is
Right.
a point where when are you responsible for your own self? You
Depends.
put yourself. Wait a minute, hold on. You put yourself in a situation. Again, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to play the other side of it.
I
Okay,
understand.
you put yourself in a situation where whatever you decided, I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to listen to my parents, or I don't
Right.
want to do this, or maybe there's some cases where they're living with a parent that's sexually molesting them and they want to get out.
Right.
I don't know. But
Right.
my point is when is the adult responsible for the adult decision? In my mind, I cannot grab the concept that someone could weigh so much on you that you will do things to appease them without free will.
Right.
That's my question to you, Jimmy.
It's not really a question. That's really how you're looking at it. It's you're not really asking me a question. You're stating how you look at it.
Well, I'm asking you to respond what I'm saying to you.
Well, here's the deal. At the end of the day, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the situation, but it always depends at the end of the day on you yourself. So I am agreeing with you that it does depend on that. You got to fucking know. Look, there's many times I could have gone down some real dark alleys. You got to know when that's no good for you. You got to know. And if you don't know, you're probably lying to yourself. Okay, unless someone is so far gone and I can't comprehend. Look, everybody was wired differently the moment they came out of the womb. I don't fucking know.
But let me ask you: are you like today's
know.
society where you blame everybody for your shortcomings? Right?
No, I don't blame anybody.
I'm not talking about you in general, bro. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about a society right now in general. Right? It's like, oh, woe is me. I've been hanging around with Sean Puffy Combs for 3 years, and now I'm going to say he's been sex trafficking me.
Right. Well, if that's the case, that's a total bunch of horse shit. Of course, I mean, are there potential similarities between Sean and Vince? I would say so, but we don't know enough. We know a lot more about Vince's thing than we do about this P. Diddy, whatever his name is, Handbrush, Combs, or whatever he calls himself, I'm being very musically ignorant right now, I assume, but
and again, at no point is this show or myself claiming the man is innocent or guilty. You're not guilty until you're proven guilty in a court of law. That is our country. Right. But I'm looking at another point. Marie, I got your message. Thank you. I'm going to read that later. I don't think you want me to read it on the show, so but thank you again. I love Maria Davis. She's such an intelligent person.
Yes, she is.
My point is, like, when are we responsible for ourselves?
We don't have that. It's more and more getting away from that. I couldn't agree with you more about that, Mike. One way or the other. The accountability is that there is no accountability. There's no accountability. Nobody has any accountability. It's just the way it is now. We're in a very whiny stage in our country's history. Everybody just whines,
Well, today, Janelle Grant, I'll read the thing to you.
Here we go.
By the way, our boy, our friend out there, Lee Cole, he did a little thing on it, and he said that Janelle Grant, in today's video I saw when I was perusing, because I was trying to find information, that she's now a wonderful person. I don't know her, but whatever.
Okay.
Whatever. Janelle Grant brings on PR firm SKDK ahead of the Vince McMahon docuseries. And now, obviously, of course, the Vince McMahon docuseries, from what I understand, we've discussed this, is a very pro Vince McMahon thing. But we're hearing they may have done some changes. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting, Jimmy. Janelle Grant has retained a PR firm ahead of the premiere of Vince McMahon's docuseries. Now, let me stop there. Got to stop there.
Please.
Explain this to me. Explain this to me.
Yeah.
Why do you have to get a PR firm?
Because, and this is as hip. I'm being as sarcastic as possible because every victim should have a PR firm. Get the fuck out of here. Really? They should have a PR firm. Right. Right. You know what, Mike? I was thinking about it when I had that incident back in high school. I should have had a PR firm.
A PR firm with to speak for you.
Yeah.
Right?
You know where I'd be right now, probably.
Grant previously filed a lawsuit against McMahon in which she alleged that she was a victim of sex trafficking, emotional abuse, and sexual assault. Vince McMahon denied allegations. He then resigned for the WWE TKO. Vince McMahon remains under federal investigation. Now, stop there. In the show today, I'll call it a show. Fuck that. It was a show. They spoke about the issues and all the terrible things that Vince McMahon did, and John Laurinaitis and the WWE and the doctor, and they're holding them all accountable for what has happened to Janelle Grant.
So nothing's Janelle Grant's fault. She's not responsible for anything. She was whisked away from a poor country, thrown on a train, and then into a box truck, and then forced to sell her body while she received zero compensation. No, that's not really the story, is it, Mike? It's not. She doesn't come from a brothel. She doesn't come from the streets. She doesn't come from. No, she has a fucking PR firm, right? And I'm gonna bleed mercy for her, and just decide that I've made up my mind and I know who's good and I know who's bad, and that's that. Nope, I ain't doing that. So when this whole thing winds up dissipating like smoke, eventually, or Vince passes away, whichever comes first, whatever. Just one more dart thrown by somebody with a blindfold on, the way I look at it, but that's me.
Well, let me carry on.
Yeah.
In the press release, SKDK announced that attorneys for Janelle Grant retain the services of SKDK's Kendra Barkoff Lammy ahead of the premiere of the Vince McMahon docuseries. Barkoff, Lammy, and SKK have represented the survivors of Harvey Weinstein, Marilyn Manson, Jeffrey Epstein, and more. Okay, so let's stop there. I know quite a bit, and we've actually discussed this on a show many times.
They're the Budweiser of victims. Go ahead.
Okay, Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
Clear his misrepresentation of power, right? This is a different situation.
Absolutely. Agreed.
You work for me. If you want to continue working in the industry because I'm so powerful, you need to sleep with me. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, I will make you pay. And I will ruin your career. And I will do this to you. And I will do that to you. Mm-hmm. That is clearly illegal and clearly should be
immoral.
Another good word.
More important.
And certainly people should get their justice for it, right? And he was found guilty, as he should have been.
Right.
And there were plenty of people that came out about him, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm with you.
Let's talk about Marilyn Manson. So Marilyn Manson has been accused by good God, I can't remember her name now. Give me 1 second.
Kamala Harris?
No, shut up.
Sorry.
That's a good one, dude.
Thank you.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
That is a really good one.
This subject makes me sick. I'm sure the fans can see my body language out there.
What do you mean it makes? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Evan Rachel Wood. I'm sorry, from The Wrestler. So there's a documentary on Max, and it's really good. And she speaks about being groomed by Marilyn Manson. Mm-hmm. Now, in this particular case, we're going through these cases so we really understand this, right? In this particular case, she was a teenager. She met Marilyn Manson, right? They started off friends. He would talk to her.
Did they?
Kind of get her.
Did they start off friends already? I don't believe it. I think that she threw herself at him and he liked young girls. Go ahead, next. Keep going.
Could be. Fair enough,
going.
Jimmy. That's a
Keep going.
fair
This is
statement.
fucking rock and roll. What are we talking here? Keep
Okay,
going.
but
Yeah.
so all of a sudden she's being sucked in by this guy,
All of a
and
sudden.
and then
Right.
and then he starts
Gotcha.
feeding her drugs,
Well,
right?
he's an asshole, obviously, from what we've heard. Go ahead.
Right. And then at
Uh-huh.
some point, she claims that during a music video where she was acting with him, he actually had sex with her and she didn't want to, but
Right.
he kept going.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but okay, so whether I understand it's rock and roll, okay, but
That doesn't make that right what I said. I was just saying
I understand what you're
I
saying.
seriously doubt she wasn't down inspecting his kosher Frank right off the bat. But
But
go ahead.
here's where I'm talking about
Yeah.
grooming and I don't want to call it sex trafficking in this case because it was only
Right.
one person with one
Was
person.
there anybody else, Mike, that came up about, came out of the woodwork regarding Manson? Like, yeah, he's done this to me.
Yeah,
There were other people,
there was
weren't
one or
there?
two other
What
girls,
was
but
the
then
final result of Manson's trial?
nothing, nothing. Then
So
nothing.
it was
I
paid
think
off
he
or
lost.
whatever.
He might have lost a civil lawsuit again. I'm speaking out of
Okay.
turn because
Okay.
I
Okay.
really wasn't prepared to talk about this.
Right.
I would have to revisit it. Again, my
Yeah.
mind has only so
I
much
gotcha.
to tape up, right? So, but my point is, these are different situations, right? We've got a guy using his power to destroy people's lives for sex. You've got
Right.
another guy that starts with a young girl and gets her ready. Look,
Right.
dude, let's be 100% honest, right? So say you were, forget being a million, who cares? Say you're nobody, right? Like we are.
Are we
Um,
pretending? Are we?
well, no, we're not pretending.
What are we?
But like, say it's a situation, right?
Jesus
I
Christ.
see this young girl and she's good looking.
Yeah.
So I start working on her when she's 12, right? Because then you start playing that daddy role. And then by
What?
the time she's 18, all of a
Yeah.
sudden she you're the guy, like you're the guy in her mind.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I'm not saying that's something I would do. What I'm saying
Okay.
is,
Good.
what I'm trying to say to you
I
is
know.
that's a grooming process.
Yeah, but
Right?
it just hammers home what I told you earlier, that evil appears in all different forms and aspects of society. Weinstein's couldn't be more different than Charlie's background. Charlie's background couldn't be more different than Marilyn Manson, who his last name, oddly enough, was taken after Charlie. But they're all different. They're all different, but they're all still evil nonetheless.
But you
know?
understand my statement here. We're looking at Sean Puffy Combs, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, again, he's been arrested. They obviously have something
Right.
that they think they're going to get him or indict
Right.
him on, for sure.
Right.
But different situation, and we're going to get into the Vince McMahon situation.
Well, here's one thing I was thinking about. The sex trafficking definition, or the idea I gave early on about how I look at it, like, it's usually poor, people ripped off the streets, their children ripped off the streets, In case of, I would like to think, unless I don't know it all, I would like to think in the case of Combs or in the case of Vince McMahon, unlike the people who were truly being sexually trafficked and were done probably through cartels or whatever goes and does these sorts of things, mobs, whatever they fucking do, you can't get away. If you get away, they'll kill you. Is Vince McMahon killing Janelle Grant? She had years to fucking walk away from this without the Porsche and the car. And like you're saying with Diddy Combs, how many years was this person with Diddy? You weren't in jail. You know who was oddly enough more in jail than those two ladies? Elizabeth. Elizabeth was locked in a room with TV dinners. Right. You know what I'm saying? Janelle Grant was never even locked in a room with TV dinners. She was taking cars and living in beautiful apartments.
Again,
I don't know.
Let's talk about that Elizabeth thing, right? We've had Poffo on. You've heard all the wrestlers speak about it, right?
Yeah.
I think I had heard a statement which made more sense than all of it, was that he didn't lock her. Macho Randy Savage didn't lock her away because of that. He locked her away to keep her away from the boys because he was worried about the boys.
I agree with him.
And here's the other thing: when you find out more about her, like when she realized that this was a prison that she did not like being in anymore,
right?
She broke away. She broke away.
She didn't slander him. She didn't slander him and sue him and do all that other shit.
She left.
Right. And you know what? Oddly enough, of all people, Jesse, I recently heard Jesse asked about Macho Man's overly protective ways with Elizabeth, and was he right or wrong?
Right.
And I'll give Jesse credit here. Jesse's answer was short and sweet. He was like, it was his fucking wife. He was protecting her from the fucking pigs.
Yeah.
He goes, I was never a pig. I said hello to her. I was courteous with her. She was a professional and a co-worker to me. And I believe Jesse when he says that
Let me
about
give you an example. Chris Candido, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy passed away, but I mean, think of the humiliation. Look, we're
Bro,
all
I gotta
men
be
and we're
honest.
all women. There's humiliation involved
Right.
in all that thing. Whether
Right.
people like, Scott Hall was on our show, goes, oh, we kind of heard it was their thing. There's a major humiliation that goes on.
Yes.
Macho
Dude,
Man probably didn't want to have any chance of being humiliated by
Right.
anybody.
And you know what though? There is always a choice, because I think we know damn well if that had been me with what Candido went through, I would have fucking, like, if I walked in on Shawn Michaels banging my girlfriend, I would have walked into the locker room, found the heaviest blunt object I could find, and bashed him in the back of the head while he's in the process of making puppies. That would have been it. I don't care if I'm fired. I don't give a fuck. You got to be able to look in the mirror at yourself. I would have been like, fuck this shit. I'm beating the fuck out of this guy.
If
And
anybody in the chat room remembers this, I don't know what movie it is, but it's with the girl from Chucky and this guy. And I always remember this movie because I was thinking about humiliation, right?
Yeah.
And they like rob this house. The guy, it's like a nerdy guy. He has this hot wife. It's the girl from Chucky. I forget her name with the voice. Good looking girl. She's old now, but
all right. Okay.
And then what they do is they tie the guy up and then they put him in the bathroom and they fuck his wife, right?
Right.
And she's liking it, right?
Oh, that's great.
And then he's like crying in the bathroom because he can't help her. And then at some point they take him and I think they bring him in the bedroom to watch them fuck, and she's liking it.
Right.
And and that always stuck with me. And I'm thinking to myself, whenever we spoke to people about Candido and all that, because that's probably the most brutal or the most
it's up there, humiliation
right?
factor. Yeah.
I'm like, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
No wonder he took drugs, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he obviously had low self-esteem because he did nothing about it.
Well, how about Sonny? How about Sonny? You talk about evil in different ways.
Oh,
I already know all the other problems she's caused.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do that to someone you love? Why wouldn't you just break away from them and walk away from them?
How do you sit at the dinner table when your father's king of a land and say to him, "Bring me the head of John the Baptist," because you want to put your father on the spot?
Wow.
How do you do that?
It's a good comment.
So yeah. I mean, come on. Like you said, and like I've said, evil appears in all sorts of different forms and faces, but it's still evil nonetheless.
So we're well into this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts are going to happen to Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
You know what? It's so great to me. If history, tells us anything, that this will go away. It will eventually go away, or Vince will go away first. I don't really know, but I don't look at her like a victim the way I would look at, Sharon Tate. That's a victim. I don't feel that she was a victim. I feel that she profited from it. She took money to shut up, and then when it wasn't to her liking, she went for more and more and more and more and more. And that to me doesn't sound like a victim. That sounds to me like somebody who got herself into a world that she could profit from, ran wild for a while, and when it wasn't to her liking, looked to cash in on it. That's
Can I also lend something? I was talking to Benny from the Dan and Benny show this afternoon.
All right.
And we started discussing something. I want to lay something on you and tell me what this sounds like to you. Now, Diddy has been indicted, right? He's in jail without bail, right?
All right. Yeah.
Diddy had his home raided on March 25th of this year.
Okay.
Vince McMahon had his home raided of July 17th last year.
Okay.
So answer me this.
Yeah.
If they've already indicted Diddy after, 6 months, wouldn't you think they would have gotten McMahon already if they had something?
I've been feeling that way for a while about the McMahon situation. It just keeps going and going, and now that she has a PR firm, the whole thing is just.
Look, there's no doubt they had the press conference because the docuseries is coming out. Okay,
right?
That is easy to figure out. But again, I will question this again. 17 months against 6 months. Please explain to me if they had something on Vincent Kennedy McMahon. they would have done something. Now, if you listen to some people out there, they're saying they're waiting for the presidential race, right? Because they associate Vince McMahon with
Trump.
Oh my God, Trump. Sorry, Jesus Christ. I don't believe it. At this point, that is the biggest thing in my head. Like if they had something on this guy, they would have done something already.
You would think so by now, but I've learned to not have any faith in anything behind the scenes with the justice system. Donald Trump has now been shot at and shot once and shot at twice. Where's the investigations? Where is the uproar from the government that any political candidate that's running for office, especially as high as president, should not constantly have his life, on the line and being shot at on a semi-regular basis over the last couple of months. It's now become semi-regular. What the fuck is that? So I don't really trust anything. Do I think that they have anything on Vince? If they had it, they would have gone after him by now full force. This wouldn't just be going in circles,
That would be the Jimmy. That would be the common thought right now in my mind.
It's going in circles.
I mean, yeah. Again, just destroying a person's life because something.
It's what we do online. If we don't like somebody, especially, look, Vince McMahon definitely leans closer to one ideology than the other. And right now, this country is broken right in half on two separate ideologies that really bear very little in common. Okay. And Vince is on that other side. All right. A lot of people love him or hate him. That's all it's about now. And if you hate them, you get to go on a keyboard and just bash away. Go ahead. No, I was going to say, not for nothing. I mean, God forbid we talk about the whole picture and we still got people calling us names. I find that hilarious that people get online and call us names because we have an opinion. Some fucker, and I got to get this out, some fucker, when we were talking about 9/11, that their comment is that we played victim during that telecast. How the fuck is that? We were all victims that day. What are you fucking talking about?
Dude, I missed that comment. I'm going to have to look.
That was one of the most ill-advised, ill-informed, dumbass fucking opinions I've ever seen. I just laughed.
Wait a minute. Try to explain it to me again. We were talking about 9/11, and he said we were playing the victim.
Yeah, look at these dudes. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, playing the victim about 9/11. Well, fuck you, buddy. My fucking uncle worked in the buildings. Did yours? Fuck off. I watched that from live on top of a fucking rooftop. Doesn't make me a victim. It makes me a fucking eyewitness, you asshole.
Yeah, it makes you an observer of a situation, right?
You fucking keyboard warrior. I hope your fucking fingers fall off from jerking off too much. That fucking shit pissed me off. Anyway.
Eric Bischoff confused by weird Netflix situation in WWE. He says, I'm confused, Bischoff said on 83 Weeks recently. The situation confusing me. This is Netflix, who just signed a $5 billion deal with the WWE.
Right.
The ink is still drying. They haven't even had their first show yet, but Netflix is going to take what has been the face of the WWE, and they're going to expose him to the world in a way that's not going to be flattering to the brand. One would think it would not be flattering. Bischoff wonders if Netflix is going to the documentary out of the way in September so they can basically they just can get rid of Vince McMahon and get rid of the name, right? Put on something and end their relationship with the name Vince McMahon.
I don't. This doesn't make sense to me.
They're trying to distance themselves from Vince McMahon. So
by airing a documentary on Vince McMahon, they're trying to distance themselves from Vince McMahon.
In a way, it kind of makes sense, right? It does make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They're doing
hold on. If I put a documentary on Jimmy Farrow and it's really bad,
3 views,
and
three views.
No, more than that.
If 4.
I'll give it a couple thousand.
Gee, thanks.
Anyway.
Wow. I knew I should have filled out that application at the grocery store. Go ahead.
So
jerk.
if you do a bad documentary on somebody, right, and you're showing it in a bad light, people are like, oh, they're anti Vince McMahon. They're trying to wash their way from Vince McMahon. I think that's the idea behind it, Jimmy.
I think the idea behind it is that a documentary on Vince McMahon and having the ability to corner that and be able to do that is a lot of money. That's what I think. I think Netflix is doing it because it's going to make them money.
I think
that's what
right.
That's what I fucking think. You know what I mean? So I know you're going to watch it. I don't even have Netflix. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm going to see this.
Dude, you get it for like $9, dude. You watch on your phone. Fuck. I'd watch it.
$9.
It's $9. It's well worth it, dude. They got like
I can't even see membership videos, and you want me to give Netflix $9?
Because our membership videos cost more than Netflix.
I'm the fucking pharaoh. I should not have to have a membership to watch my own videos.
You know what? You're right. We got to take care of that. I'm going to take care of that tomorrow.
This is just.
You're right. You're right. That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
By the way, Hulu pulled a fast one regarding the WWE. Can I complain about that for a few seconds?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, as most folks know, Hulu has been for years carrying Raw and SmackDown, right? I've been watching it on my phone for years, just like you said. Get it on your phone. I can't always be at home. There's, I need to see it. We got a show to do. Blah blah blah. I go to.
By the way, I think Hulu costs more than Netflix. By the way,
Hulu they just let me know that on my birthday, because they love me so much. On my birthday coming up, they're going to raise it to $18.99 a month on my phone. I was like, oh, I love you guys. So then I
love you, Jimmy.
I love you. So I went to put on grits. Anyone? I went to put on fucking SmackDown,
right?
And it says you no longer are your subscription no longer applies to SmackDown. To see your account information, click on your. I'm like,
so you need the Premier Hulu account.
Now I need Hulu Plus Max or whatever the fuck, And I'm like, fuck you. See, now Karen's a genius and I'm not. Karen's got YouTube TV, which has all of this shit. So I just went and watched it on the TV inside because somebody, thank God, in this house has a brain.
Listen, let me tell you something. The problem with we're older, right? So I like old movies, and sometimes I'll just be sitting back. I got nothing to do. I'll be like,
right.
I'm like, you know what I'd like to watch? I'd like to watch Vision Quest. You know what I mean? Okay. Remember that movie? Right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
And then you look up, if you look on your phone, Vision Quest, you can see where to watch it.
Right.
It's on everything but the things that you have.
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's on everything but. And it's like every movie is like that. It's
right.
It's fucking.
Well, almost any movie that's important, Oh, you want to watch the original Dracula? Good luck, buddy. That'll be $19.99 a month plus.
Yeah,
and
on Amazon Prime
too. We got the Wolfman and we got the Creature and we got the Mummy. You can't have any of them. They're mine. It's ridiculous.
I got Amazon Prime. They have all the Star Trek show. The original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Got to pay extra. It's ridiculous.
Really?
It's
wow.
Ridiculous.
The other night, Cameron wanted to see Oliver Stone's The Doors. She's never seen it, right? So I went looking for it. Oh, good luck, buddy.
Hey, you know where it is? You know where it is, though?
Where is it?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, well,
because I was actually going to watch it, but every movie I pick, my wife goes, "I hate that movie."
Right.
I hate that movie. No matter what I pick. Oh, how many times are you going to watch that movie?
Right.
So when the Iron Claw comes on, I purposely put it on every time. She's then
you pick ones you figure you can't go wrong on. You want to see Rocky? Sucks. Jaws. Fucking underwater movies are stupid. Star Wars. Yeah, perfect for you. A space cadet.